Welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, I'm Steph.
I'm Katie. This is little Theo. Can you see little Theo? Theo.
Theo's being a very good boy, a very good assistant.
Yes. We are a married couple from Canada, and we have been living in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico for the last month as digital nomads. And today we wanted to sit down and tell you everything that you need to know about coming here to Puerto Vallarta and working remotely.
So for context, we travel all the time. We do a lot of big trips that we go away for long periods of time, but tend to move around to a lot of different destinations. We are pretty much on the go all the time, all year. This year in particular has been pretty nonstop. We've mentioned it in some other videos that we've done. And so this trip to Puerto Vallarta has been a little bit different because we needed something to change it up and to just kind of slow down a little bit. So that's why we are here.
Yeah, we wanted to pick a destination where we could really slow down, stay in one spot, and just get some work done coming off of some really busy months of full-time travel and just being on the road so much. So we picked Puerto Vallarta because it's a destination in Mexico we've always wanted to come to. It was a short 5-hour direct flight from where we live in Vancouver, Canada. Obviously the weather is amazing. We came here for the entire month of November, and we just wanted somewhere where we could kind of escape early winter, those early winter blues at home where it's just like wet and raining and
Lots
gray.
of rain in Vancouver. The snow wasn't, quite on the mountains yet, so we definitely wanted to come enjoy the sunshine while Vancouver was starting to get dark and colder and before ski season, of course.
Yeah, and the weather here is obviously known for being amazing and just consistently warm and beautiful. This time of year, it's the dry season. It's kind of on the shoulder season of getting really busy. We're not quite into like the super busy holiday tourism time. So the month of November seemed like a great time to come, and we're so glad that we did.
Yes, for sure. It's also not humid in Puerto Vallarta, which we absolutely love being from the West Coast.
Yeah.
We're not great with the humidity, and we're very happy that here it's nice and dry. So
yes, that West Coast, like fresh ocean air has been amazing. And we also wanted to come somewhere where there was a little bit more going on, not just kind of a sleepy beach town, but more of a city destination with great food and lots to do. All those reasons kind of came into why we chose Puerto Vallarta, and also knowing that there's a big digital nomad community here. It's a popular destination to come and work remotely. It's easy to find a more long-term accommodation. So all of those reasons came into why we chose Puerto Vallarta. So now let's jump into all of the kind of pros and cons that we've found of spending the month here, everything that made it easy for us to live and work here, and some of the things that we maybe wish we had known before we came.
Yeah. So the first thing we took into consideration is the cost of coming here and spending a whole month in Puerto Vallarta.
Yeah. So the cost of living here is definitely cheaper than where we live, but you could say that about just about any destination.
Not hard to be cheaper than Vancouver, that's for sure.
Yeah, we live in one of the most expensive cities in the world, and the cost of living is extremely high in Canada right now, and especially in Vancouver. So pretty easy to come somewhere where the cost of living is going to be lower, but we did want to choose somewhere where we knew that we could pay less for accommodations, less for food, less for kind of daily essentials, and Puerto Vallarta definitely ticked all those boxes.
Yeah. While Puerto Vallarta is definitely cheaper than where we're from in Canada, it's not the cheapest destination in Mexico, so that is something to keep in mind. It is on the more expensive end, partly because of just how much tourism and how many expats are living here.
Yeah.
So things like groceries and restaurants and stuff tend to be on the higher end in terms of standards in Mexico anyway.
It's all relative. It depends what you consider to be expensive and not expensive. The cost of living for us here was still much cheaper than at home, but it really depends what you're looking to spend and also where you're coming from to compare it to.
It also depends kind of how you're shopping. If you're doing a lot of cooking and things like that, which we are, we definitely noticed a big difference in price between anything that was imported or, like anything that's not made in Mexico. Pretty much you're going to pay more for, or just as much at home as at home. But anything that's local, anything that's made in Mexico, any local produce or anything like that will definitely be a lot cheaper. So we've been, stocking up on the tortillas that are freshly made every morning
downstairs
at the little kiosk, and then all the little family-run markets, fruit and veggie markets. We've been going to those places, and definitely we have not been paying very much for groceries.
No, we did one big grocery shop at a bigger grocery store, and then everything else has just been the local markets. We are staying in the Zona Romantica neighborhood, which is the old town. There are plenty of local markets here, fruit and veggie stands, everything like that, which has been great. And in general, I would say we're spending a lot less on food, on our essentials. And having an apartment where we can cook and prepare meals obviously brings down costs hugely, which is another big plus of doing a trip like this and staying in an apartment that has kind of everything you need. We definitely wanted somewhere that had a full kitchen where we could prepare our own meals.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously, food is a big cost on any trip, so trying to keep those costs down really helps. The things that we found here that were more expensive than at home was, like you said, anything that's imported. So pet food was something. We brought our dog here, and obviously need to feed him, and we couldn't bring down his regular food from home with us, so we had to buy it here. That was much more expensive than it would be at home. And then any just kind of specialty items, neither of us eat meat, so we were looking for kind of like vegan specialty items, no meat or dairy. So anything like that at the grocery store, most of it is like imported items from Canada or the US, and those are significantly more expensive as well.
For sure. One of the things we really love about Puerto Vallarta as well is a lot of people talk about the water in Mexico, the water quality, tap water, don't drink the tap water. But fun fact, Puerto Vallarta actually has a really great municipal water filtration system. So the tap water actually is very safe to drink.
Yeah.
The only consideration really is if you're staying in an older building and the pipes to that building, if they are not necessarily, up to date or modern or like that would be the only time where the water itself could kind of pick up anything along the way is kind of from the main municipal system, municipal source to your location. But yeah, no, we found that's been great, and we're drinking the tap water and everything's been
still fine.
Fine.
It is really nice to not have to buy bottled water.
Yeah,
that's huge.
Yeah.
Then in terms of going out for meals, it is definitely not as cheap, like you said, as other places in Mexico, but it's not nearly as expensive as home. So we have been going out to cafes and local restaurants, and there's such a great foodie scene here in Puerto Vallarta, which is another reason why a lot of people choose to come. There is everything from like street food stands, like amazing taco stands, to like fine dining restaurants and everything in between. And I would say going out to like just kind of a mid-range casual cafe or restaurant is definitely cheaper than what we would do at home.
For sure. Yeah, I think a lot of that comes down to at home it's a lot of added taxes and like really high tip percentages, and the taxes on alcohol, especially if you're getting anything to drink. All of that is a lot lower here.
You're not expected to tip 25%. You aren't paying 13% tax on everything. That makes a really big difference. So it's really nice to be able to go out to eat and not have it cost an arm and a leg.
And I'm not sure exactly what the taxes are here, but the price on the menu is inclusive of whatever taxes there may be on those items. So that is nice as well. You see the price, that's the price. There's not an extra 13%, like you said, added on top of that. Definitely one thing to keep in mind is a lot of places here are cash only. So the markets especially the small family-owned markets, they are cash only. So make sure you have pesos. We would recommend getting pesos from your bank before you leave. We've found that the cash machines here aren't super dependable, so we've gone to a lot of them, hoping to get cash out, and they've been out of order, or like they have super high fees and things like that. So definitely, if you can, bring cash before you leave. If not, there are cash machines available. You just have to maybe have to walk to a few before you find one that's working.
And if you are American and have US cash, some places do take US cash, and lots of places do take credit cards. So moving on to another big consideration of coming here was the culture. Obviously, we wanted to come somewhere where we could be immersed in the local culture, and I think even though Puerto Vallarta does have a lot of tourism and a big expat community, I still really felt like we did get to be immersed in the local Mexican culture here, especially staying in the neighborhood where we did, in Zona Romantica, in the old town, getting to really feel like we were immersed. It's very much a mix of locals and foreigners here. It doesn't feel like we're just surrounded by tourists, which was really nice.
Yeah, for sure. With all of the family-run markets and things like that, we're going and getting our groceries kind of doing our day-to-day things just like the people who are living here and the locals who have always been here. So that's definitely very cool. And of course, when we go down to the beach area, there are restaurants and things like that are more catered toward the tourism and the expat community. But we've found a lot of the hidden gems kind of throughout our neighborhood, which has been really fun.
For sure. I would say if you're looking to come somewhere where you can live like a local, this is a great spot to do it. But really, depending on which neighborhood you choose, I would say we would have had a really different experience had we chosen to stay somewhere else. So staying in the old town, I think, would really help.
I would say as well, in terms of language, probably where we are in Zona Romantica is where we need to be speaking Spanish the most. A lot of places, especially as you get closer to the beach or closer to El Centro, everything's very English speaking. A lot of menus, like people, staff in the restaurants and things like that, everyone's for the most part speaking English. The times where we really haven't been speaking English and we've only been speaking Spanish are at
You say we, but I do not speak Spanish.
Sorry. I have been speaking the Spanish.
Yes, I have been learning and picking some up, but I really don't speak Spanish fluently. So,
and I am by no means fluent, but I can definitely hold my own.
You can get by, for sure. Yeah, but I would say if that's a consideration, it is, very much catered to an English speaker. But also, if you want to be somewhere where you are immersed in the language and you do want to learn a bit and you do want to pick some up, again, this neighborhood specifically is a great spot to be.
Yeah, and those local markets, those kind of family-run businesses, those are the times when I've been speaking Spanish solely.
Yeah. We were also here for a Dia de los Muertos at the beginning of November, which was really incredible. To be able to take that off our bucket list was so cool, but also just to really get to see such a celebration of Mexican culture. And it was also really neat to just see everyone who came out for the festival. It was huge all weekend. We went to the parade. It was really cool, and it really felt like a mix of locals and foreigners all getting to celebrate it together, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, definitely. I'm so glad we got to do that. I mean, it was kind of by accident, but it was a very, very cool thing to be here for, and definitely a bucket list moment.
Yeah. So it will be interesting to see over time how that changes in Puerto Vallarta, because there is obviously a lot of development here. There is a lot of tourism. There is a big expat community, lots of snowbirds coming down from Canada and the US and things like that. So it would be interesting to see over time how that changes the local culture of the city. But I would say right now on this trip, where we stayed in this neighborhood, we really felt like that was a positive and something that we really got to experience, which really just made for such a unique experience for us.
So of course, coming here for an entire month and, coming here with the intention of working and not just, doing like a 4 or 5 day vacation, we had different requirements for what we needed in terms of accommodation. That, of course, is internet speed.
Yeah, we have learned that being on the road, we don't get the luxury of fast internet everywhere that we would enjoy at home. And it really makes such a big difference, especially if you are doing a lot of downloads, doing a lot of uploads.
Uploading these videos.
Uploading these videos could sometimes take literally days if you don't have fast internet. So depending on what kind of work you're doing, if you are doing any calls, any like video chats, any team meetings, things like that, you need high-speed internet, and that's not typical everywhere. So we looked for an apartment that, I would say our apartment's pretty basic, but it has all the things that we need, including high-speed internet. So if that is something that you need and you don't want to just be working in cafes, which of course is an option as well, I don't think that's something that would be frowned upon here. We personally didn't do that. We just worked from our apartment, but definitely looking for an apartment that has high-speed internet would be a must.
Yeah, and for us too, a kitchen, obviously very important. We do a lot of cooking just in general when we travel, so that's kind of something that we look for all the time.
Yeah.
But especially being here for longer, having a space that we can prepare our meals and not be completely reliant on going out to restaurants all the time.
Yeah. So
very much a thing that we needed, and there were lots of apartments, lots of places like that available for rent around here. So it's very much set up for people to come and stay for longer.
Yeah, finding a rental for the month was very easy to do, and by no means something strange. I think people come here for longer visits all the time. It's a really popular spot for that, so it was really easy to find a monthly rental, and I think that'd be simple if we wanted to come back and do again.
For sure. So one of the things we noticed after being here was there is a lot of construction, a lot of development, like we had mentioned before. With construction, obviously, comes the noises of construction, which you may be hearing as we were talking, because they basically go nonstop. People are working almost every day. Sometimes there's a break on Sundays. but it's morning through evening. It's go, go, go,
Yeah.
lots of construction.
Yeah, especially in this neighborhood. When we first got here, I was thinking, oh, I wish that's something that we knew in advance, that there's construction right across the street. But then the more we walked around this neighborhood, the more we realized just how normal that is. And there's construction all over this neighborhood. There's a lot of development. There are a lot of buildings going up. So I think that's just something that's pretty typical. And yeah, understanding that you need to deal with the noise would just be something that you kind of need to deal with. And yeah, like you said, there really are no days off. We try to film on Sundays because that's typically the day where it's the quietest. But even today, you can probably hear some of the construction noise.
Yeah.
So if you are someone who needs complete quiet for your work, like you are maybe filming videos or doing meetings or presentations or anything like that, definitely a consideration.
For sure. So we have done trips to Mexico in the past. We've done a trip where we rented a car and drove all around and explored. But one of the reasons we chose Puerto Vallarta this time was because we wanted a place where we could just go and easily get around, walk around, take Ubers and things like that without the need for a rental car. And that was a big part of being here. It's so walkable, especially Zona Romantica and El Centro.
Yeah.
We've been walking around everywhere. We also have found that Ubers are very easy and affordable. They're quite inexpensive. We took a long one from the airport. It was very cheap.
Yeah, also to get out to the bigger grocery store, took an Uber, and that was really affordable as well. And just in general, it's so nice to be able to walk everywhere. And we're about a 10-minute walk to the beach. We're about, steps away from great food, great markets. Everything is close by. Everything feels so accessible, which is great.
For sure. There is also public transit. There are buses going by all the time that seem to be, there seem to be a good system of buses and things. We haven't taken any of the buses, but it does look like an option that's quite easy to get around and very, very inexpensive.
Yeah, we've really been enjoying exploring the city. Walking along the Malecon has been great. And while on this trip, we didn't feel like doing any day trips or excursions because we really wanted to just slow down and enjoy the city, there is also so much nearby Puerto Vallarta if you did want to rent a car and do a day trip to some of the nearby beaches or some of the nearby towns. There's so much around that I think that really makes it a great destination as well if you do feel like doing some more exploring.
Yeah, and some of the beaches and things up a bit more on the north side, there's surfing and things like that up a little higher. So that's also a very cool thing too that we did not do this time, but
Maybe next
keep
time.
in mind for next time. I will say one of the things to consider when walking around is just that there is a lot of uneven pavement. Our street is kind of cobblestoney and gravelly, so a little bit slippery, a little bit uneven.
It's very hilly as well.
It is hilly, yeah.
So while it is walkable, it's not like extremely accessible.
Yeah, lots of stairs and things like that. Our building doesn't have an elevator or anything, and it's like several flights of stairs up.
Yeah.
And just in general, there's lots of steps up to the sidewalk and things, and not ramps and things. So
Yeah,
definitely something to keep in mind.
Another thing we really like to keep in mind when choosing a destination is safety. We are two women traveling together. We are also a lesbian couple, obviously. So
And our guard dog is a tiny little poodle
yeah,
Maltese mix. So
none of us look very tough to the outside.
as much as we'd like to believe we are.
But I think being safe and coming to a destination where we can feel safe is obviously very important. And in general, I would say that we felt really safe here.
Definitely.
I think it's like a really lively city. There's a lot going on, which just means that there's people out all the time, which generally makes me feel safe. We went out like walking a ton, taking him out late at night for walks, and we just I never felt unsafe.
Yeah, the area is well lit at night. There's a lot going on, like you said. So just
Always people
around in general obviously makes it feel a little safer just because there's, not a lot of like dark corners and things where you're alone. Also, just walking by people's homes, they have doors open and windows open, and everyone's just kind of out and about, and even if they're in, they're out and about.
Yeah, it's a very friendly neighborhood. Everyone, greets you, says hello, says good evening, and just kind of acknowledges you, which is nice. I think that also made us feel safer. So I think that's a major plus if you're traveling, especially as a woman alone or two women, or if safety is just more of a concern.
Definitely.
And in line with that, we also like to choose destinations that are queer friendly as well, obviously. And that is something that Puerto Vallarta is really known for, especially here in Mexico. It is such a queer friendly destination, and that's a big reason why we chose it.
Yeah, for sure. I would definitely say that while it is queer friendly, it definitely caters more toward older white gay men.
Yes.
There's a large population of tourists that fall within that demographic. But we also definitely still felt like it was very inclusive, and the places that we've been have felt very welcoming to us as well.
Yeah. Just like a lot of destinations that are queer friendly, it is a lot more catered to men. Obviously, there are so many, bars and clubs and businesses in this neighborhood, especially. This is known as the queer neighborhood in Zona Romantica. And even a lot of the nightlife spots are explicitly men only. And that's pretty typical that we're used to seeing. And I didn't really sense a big scene for queer women. We didn't really go out and try and find it, so it might exist and just be a little more underground, but in general, it seems a lot more catered to men. But even that, it's just nice to be somewhere where you feel welcome and to be somewhere where there's rainbow flags everywhere and we can be open as a couple and
feels
feel
a bit
safe.
more open and accepting in general. So
Exactly. I think in general, there's just a vibe in this city where people come here to be free and be themselves, which is so nice.
Yeah. Also, a consideration for us, because we were traveling with our dog Theo, is we want to take him somewhere and actually be able to take him out and do things with him and not just have to leave him in the apartment all day every day.
Yeah.
So Puerto Vallarta is very dog friendly. A lot of people bring their dogs. There are a lot of, whether they're tourists or expats or whatever they may be.
Yeah.
Lots of people from Canada and the US that have small dogs, big dogs, all kinds of dogs. And it's been great with him. We've been able to take him out to restaurants, to cafes, everywhere basically except the grocery stores. So that's been amazing.
Yeah, I love traveling with our dog. We have brought him many places. He has been to 26 countries.
27 now.
27?
Mexico's 27.
Mexico's number 27. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we've definitely checked out a lot of dog-friendly travel around the world. And I would say this is right up there because, like you said, there's just like a culture of dog friendliness and you can bring them everywhere. Everyone's been really friendly and always wants to meet him, and being able to bring him with us to cafes and restaurants has been so nice. The only other places we've really been able to do that is in Europe and the UK, which is also amazing, but it's a lot further for us to get to. It's a lot more complicated to bring him with us. It's a lot more expensive, and the weather's obviously not as good. So we wanted to come somewhere this time of year where we could have that good quality of life for all three of us, be able to really enjoy time with him, be able to bring him out with us, and do that somewhere that's not as far away, not as hard to get to, not as expensive. And this really ticked all those boxes.
Yeah, I would say probably Theo's only complaint is midday. It's a little hot to be running around, but otherwise he's been really enjoying all the walks around the neighborhood, the morning and the evening, and it's been great.
Yeah, I would for sure bring him back here, and that's a big consideration for us because we love to travel with him.
Yeah.
And just in terms of the logistics, it was really simple, really straightforward to bring him here from Canada.
Sure.
We can do more content on that if people have questions, if that's something that you're interested in, because we're experts at this point. We've done a lot of traveling with this little guy.
I would say in general, we definitely enjoyed our time here and would absolutely come back. It's been nice to have a longer stretch to kind of get into the daily routines of going to the market and getting fresh tortillas, and all of those things have been just so nice. And just being able to have a good productive work environment, somewhere we have Theo and somewhere we can just kind of, like I said, get into a little bit of a routine.
Yeah, I think we would absolutely come back and do this again. We are wanting to slow down and do a bit more of a digital nomad lifestyle where we travel slowly and intentionally, and we go places where we can just set up and have a good quality of life. And I think we definitely had that here. I think Theo really enjoyed it. The weather was amazing. Being able to escape the start of winter at home has been so nice. And it's a good time of year weather-wise here too. Temperatures were consistently max 30 degrees, which is hot but not too hot. And it never really got colder than 23.
Yeah, we maybe had 2 days that rained.
2 days that rained, and that was it. It was just consistently dry and hot every day, which was so nice.
Yeah, and also it feels not so busy. I think that probably getting into December and maybe January, February, it gets a lot busier here in terms of people coming from the US and Canada to escape actual winter.
Yeah, and over the holidays, I imagine.
Definitely, yeah. So definitely a good time. It felt like, not super busy, good temperature, all the things.
For sure, yeah. I think we would consider this time of year again. We're not missing ski season.
Nope.
Not missing ski season at home, and it's just a good time of year to get away. So I think all in all, it was a very positive trip for us and definitely ticked all the boxes of what we were looking for. I think in general for digital nomad life, it is still a great spot, especially in terms of affordability and to have all the things here that you might be looking for. There are definitely cheaper places where you can go, but you might not have as much in terms of a great food scene and a great nightlife scene and all the other things that Puerto Vallarta offers.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully that covers most of the things you may be wondering. Hopefully it gives you enough tips. Let us know if you have any other questions, things that we might be able to answer. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you like this video, and make sure you're subscribed so you catch all our future content.
We'll catch you next time.
Bye.